It's here. What's going on, everybody? Moe here, and this is it. The Nintendo Switch 2 has been revealed, and they kind of just shadow dropped this trailer, and I kind of want to just go over it today. So yeah, the trailer's not much going on. It kind of just like a hardware flyover, kind of just shows the Switch, and then it transitions into the bigger screen with the different Joy-Cons. Having the bigger screen is nice. I mean, granted, like the OG Switch is beefy enough. I mean, like the portable nature of it isn't as portable as like a 3DS or a DS or a GBA, but I mean, it's kind of like that happy medium, because you see like the handheld PC game and like the Steam Deck, the RG Ally, you know, all those stuff where it's like, that's just too bulky in my opinion. Like I have a Steam Deck, I can't take that stuff. I can't take that outside. Maybe to a friend's house, maybe, but like I can't be on the street with that stuff. But the Switch, at least, you know, at the very least, you know, with the detachable controls and the Joy-Con, you're able to, like, you know, it's portable enough. And having that 8-inch screen is just going to be so nice, because handheld mode has been nice. I mean, the 7-inch screen is good. It, like, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's not horrible, but having that beefier screen, hopefully if the rumors are true, 1080p resolution, it's going to be nice. The bezel's looking like it's basically just like the OLED, where it looks kind of like, in the trailer, it looks kind of like thick, like especially on like the sides, but like the top is pretty thin too. But I think with the size of the screen, like, you're not gonna notice much of the bezel too much, especially compared to the OG Switch, which is gonna be nice. The real question is it OLED or LCD? It's probably gonna be LCD, unfortunately, knowing how Nintendo likes to cheap out where they can. But yeah, the Joy-Cons, of course, we have other stuff that's on, but before we get into the Joy-Cons, actually, we have the side panels here, the side rails. You can, of course, stick to USB-C. It's so nice to have USB-C. I still remember when it was just a surprise when the Switch 1 dropped, and to see a USB Type-C and just integrating just that non-proprietary, like, cable standard and all that stuff. Just so nice to be in the modern age with the USB-C. But yeah, you got the volume rocker, and then you have the second USB-C port. Now, of course, with the leaks, we've known this for a while, that it was going to have two USB-C ports. The real question is, how is Nintendo going to utilize that? I honestly think it's going to be just as simple as when you're in tabletop mode, you have a place to actually charge the Switch more. The Switch 2 rather, versus, like, you know, when you're in tabletop mode with the original Switch, like, you can't get to that bottom port. A lot of people have thrown out like camera attachment, all this kind of stuff, and I just think it's as simple as, like, you know, more accessibility to charge in like tabletop mode, and just another way to charge. Honestly, we'll see though. We'll see. It's hard to say. But yeah, as we go through the trailer, we have this U-shaped kickstand, which is nice. I know some people have thrown out like, is it flimsy? Is it not? I think it's a solid piece of plastic that, like, it's gonna be a nice who knows? The OG Switch's kickstand is absolute garbage. Like, there is no room of degradability. They fixed that kind of with the OLED, and I think this is more of a refinement of the OLED Switch. You know how Nintendo likes to call that model. And so you have the different, like, modes it could be. Like, this one's going to be almost flat, which is nice, because you need those viewing angles to be nice in tabletop mode. Then, of course, we come to the Joy-Cons. Nothing special here. It's gonna be nice to have that heft to the Joy-Cons. I mean, the Joy-Cons are nice, they get the job done, but they are kind of small, especially like my hands. Like, it is kind of tiny, and I feel like it tends to, like, because it's a small form factor, like the thumbsticks, for example, have no travel. It's almost like a D-pad, which kind of forgives the fact that they have a split D-pad here, where you can kind of use that thumbstick as a D-pad. The buttons don't have a lot of travel as well. They're clicky, but they're not as, like, you know, firm, kind of like the Pro Controller. I kind of hope, because the Switch Lite did this as well, copied like the Pro Controller button design for the face buttons. I hope that this for the Switch 2 Joy-Cons, it does that as well, because it would just be nice to have that like that clickiness, but also that, like, real weight when it comes to the click as well. Of course, that we have to talk about this mysterious button here. What is it? It was we saw in the leaks, it was a C button. course, Nintendo had to like gray that out because they want to keep some surprise out of this whole system. So there's a lot of theories floating around. Some people say community, it's going to be the social hub that you press. I don't know if it's going to be a software level thing. I'm on Team Cast. I think you press that button and it's gonna beam the Switch to the dock that connects it to the TV and gives you that dual screen experience. We'll talk about more when we talk about the optical mouse, but I feel like when the Switch first got announced, especially in the Switch presentation, they talked about how they were incorporating all the ideas of the previous systems. And the one thing out of all the systems that they were kind of lacking with was the Wii and the DS/3DS. You want to include that as well, where you were missing, of course, Wii U, but most of the Wii U games have been ported over, so not so much there. But anyway, the DS and the Wii were in particular, like, we had like pointer style games, like, you know, but like, it wasn't that great. It used the gyroscope, and you always had to like recalibrate every time. You always had to hit that button to make sure it's centered and all that stuff. And it was very much we worked with what we had, and having something like the casting plus the optical sensor, maybe, hopefully, we'll talk about that in a bit, but really cover that base of, like, you know, getting Wii games and DS games on the system, maybe NSO relatable, do that. Of course, you gotta add some color. Black is nice. The colors I'm kind of warming up to the more I see it now. The red is more of like a coral or salmon color. The blue looks really nice. The blues always look nice. I always thought the neon blue was always nice. We got that clicky ass buttons. We're looking at the stick, really emphasizing that you can really turn that stick really going. I hope this means a tease for it being Hall effect sticks, because the original, you guys know already, Joy-Con drift and all that stuff. I really hope that they find some way to do it. We did see a patent recently that was kind of like their own version of Hall effect sticks, so maybe that's maybe that's the case, and they're using it for the Switch too. Just fixing that Joy-Con drift would be nice, because I think I have 2 pairs of Joy-Cons that have drifted, and since then I've been very careful to use them, and in the past I've been, like, you know, kind of wary to even use handheld mode in general, because I don't want to ruin these Joy-Cons, especially because I got the Skyward Sword ones and those look really nice. But yeah, the Joy-Con look okay. It looks nice. We'll just circle back a little more, where we see, yeah, like the Joy-Con design, it's very much an improvement, especially with the size, the heftiness. I'm really interested how they're going to change things up. HC Rumble, of course, so they're going to upgrade that as well. But another thing, of course, is this optical sensor. Now, both sides of the Joy-Cons have this, which is interesting, which is optical sensor here. We still don't have an idea. We kind of have an idea with the T's over here of them when they're slapping it on right there and it moving around kind of like a mouse. So I'm more interested on how Nintendo, from a first-party perspective, utilizes, because people talked about, so of course, since it leaked, the optical sensor, how to use as a mouse, and people throwing out, oh, point-and-click games, FPSs, all this stuff, you know, PC-style games on the Switch would be nice. But I'm more interested and curious on how Nintendo, from a first-party perspective, utilizes it. Because, you know, if this is like the real quote-unquote gimmick of the system, outside of, like, you know, the hybrid model, it'd be really interesting on how they utilize that gimmick in the games and stuff like that. WarioWare is going to be interesting on the system. As a WarioWare fan myself, like, I can't wait for how WarioWare is going to utilize all this funky ass stuff. But yeah, I'm really interested on Nintendo's going to utilize this and how they message that. Is it just going to be as simple as, oh, the Joy-Cons have a mouse mode, and then, like, you know, you could turn it into a mouse for whatever reason, like Mario Maker, or even maybe if they bring back Mario Paint, all that stuff. It's gonna be interesting to see how they utilize this stuff. Of course, they're all sliding around the Joy-Con straps, which is nice. It's gonna be nice, especially because since they are magnetic, because like the Joy-Con like straps, like, you know, because of the metal rails on it, it's like it's so hard to like I feel like I'm like fighting it when I'm trying to remove it sometimes. And, like, if you put it the wrong way around, it's like pretty stuck there. So yeah, that gets into the magnets. I'm really interested. It's kind of nice to see here they have actual color in the rail. In the leaked images, we didn't see any color. Maybe that just had to do with it being a prototype, so it's nice there's a little flare of color there. It's gonna be interesting if, like, you know, you get, because obviously there's gonna be more Joy-Cons with different colors and stuff, and if you have like the launch model and it only has blue and red, but then you have, like, you know, yellow Joy-Cons or something, it's gonna be interesting. But yeah, I'm really liking the design here. The magnetic Joy-Cons are gonna be really interesting how they work. I know people have already talked about how this little pin thing, it might be a point of failure. I don't think that's the case, because how the Joy-Cons are work, especially with this little slot here, how it slots into the thing, it's like kind of locked in place. Unless you're really like playing around with it, or as a kid would like do something to it, I feel like you can break it. I feel like it's also probably gonna be like it's gonna go one way. You see the pins are on one side of it, so I don't think you like flip the Joy-Con. You probably could flip the Joy-Con around and put it in, but it won't like necessarily lock in. Maybe that's a way to make sure that you don't break it, is that it only goes in one way. And kind of that, a lot of people talk about how the colors matched like the polarity, you know, plus and minus, blue and red, all that stuff, which is nice to see. I'm really curious. I mean, a lot of people talked about how strong are these magnets? Are my Joy-Cons just gonna fall out one day after a while? But I think, especially like you look at stuff like, you know, the Surface, Microsoft Surface tablets, you know, with the keyboard and stuff like that, the iPad case, like, you know, those magnets are pretty strong, especially the keyboard ones, where the keyboard on the Surface, where, like, you know, you gotta really, like, you know, you can't just like accidentally like plop it out. And especially with the button that's on it, if you want to go a little further maybe, or go back here, but yeah, right here, the button right here actually releases it. I feel like it's gonna, especially having that button to actually press it in to release it, to deactivate, I guess in this case, the magnets, is gonna be like, you know, that level of heft. We also didn't really talk about like the SL and SR buttons are bigger this time, which is nice, because the SL and SR buttons on the original Joy-Cons are absolutely pitiful. You actually have to, like, I feel like sometimes you gotta use your nails to actually press it in. And I'm shocked that, like, that they're actually like catering to single Joy-Con play still, especially with the split D-pad, because I don't know who's really using split Joy-Con play out here. I don't think I've really seen much people just plop a switch down and then like toss to the Joy-Con, but that added level of options is always nice to have. Of course, the indicator lights for the players is nice to see on the side. But yeah, it plops onto the thing, snaps into place, and it's gonna, I hope it's satisfying, as satisfying as, like, you know, snapping the Joy-Con one in the Switch 1 was during like the first time. I remember, like, when the launch, and I just kept putting it in and out, just clicking it in place. It would be fun. But yeah, of course we can get over to the name at this point. It is called Nintendo Switch 2. They didn't go for anything special. They didn't call it Super Switch, Switch U, or whatever. They're just going for the basic, bread and basic. This is the next Nintendo Switch. And I've seen a lot of arguments back and forth online about this today, about what, it's just called the Switch 2? What is this? It's just another Mario Kart? And we'll talk about Mario Kart in a bit, but, like, you know, people's been throwing out, like, it's just called the Switch 2, it's a Switch, like, where's the originality here, where's the innovation? I don't think that's, like, I think Nintendo, more than anyone else, like, they're scared of having another Wii U, and they've talked about how they don't want to repeat the mistakes that they did with the Wii U. They want to make sure this transition to the next console is as smooth as possible, especially having that Nintendo account transfer over, backwards compatibility, all that stuff, which we'll get to. I feel like all that is to say, no fuss, no muss. The Switch works. Everybody who, like, this concept of the Switch, of you going from handheld to home console, mixing that to merging those two things together, was probably their best gimmick. Let's be real here. Like, it's just nice to have handheld games and console games all in one thing. They kind of created their own market here. Like, they opened the door to stuff like the Steam Deck, ROG Ally, all that stuff, because that stuff is popular now. People want to play their games handheld. They want to. A lot of people now, because forget, like, the main hardcore base, like, you know, a lot of them are like myself. You know, I work a full-time job. I don't have all the time in the world to play games, so to have that little bit of time to, like, you know, dedicated time to play console games, but also, you know, I could play a couple minutes in bed, all this stuff, play it anywhere, all that stuff, just nice to have. And again, it comes to the marketing side of things of like, you know, Nintendo Switch 2. So little Timmy's mom, you know, looks at it at the shelf. It's like, okay, this is the Nintendo Switch 2. Is the next Nintendo console. It's new. It looks different enough from the original Switch that, you know, it's an upgrade. You can see it that way. I see a lot of people like, maybe it is confusing because it's like, oh, this is a Switch, but all this stuff. But let's be real here. PlayStation's been doing PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hopefully 6 in a couple years, but they've been doing like the number scheme for a while, and that's worked well for them. And I see no reason as Nintendo's would do it. They haven't really done it before. I feel like that's why the hesitancy is lying, because the closest thing we've gotten to the Nintendo Switch 2 name in a console is probably going from NES to Super Nintendo, Game Boy to Game Boy Color to Game Boy Advance, like that sort of thing. 3DS to 3DS, technically, that sort of thing. But it kind of goes into, like, you think about the reasoning behind why keeping the name Switch. Switch works. He's switching from handheld to home console. Like, it's a catchy name. It works. Switch 2. We'll see how it all shakes out, you know, down the line. But I think it's a good way, you know, if it ain't broke, why fix it, you know, like, just make it a better Switch, you know, make it more powerful, do some wacky things. And they're still doing wacky things. Like, what is that optical sensor gonna do? I'm really interested to see how they're gonna implement that in games. We don't know what this mysterious button does. Like, there's still some innovation here that we're gonna see, which is nice, outside of, like, you know, the games and stuff like that, it being more powerful. Of course, it's the back of the system. If we go here, yeah, that's the logo. Nothing special, like I said. Change it up. I'm interested in where the SD card slot is gonna be, because on the original Switch, it's under the kickstand. So maybe it is under, you know, one of this sides of the kickstand, but we'll see. And of course, Mario Kart. I am so happy that we have a new Mario Kart. This isn't Mario Kart 8 again. This is a brand new Mario Kart. Look at that new track, a brand new track. It looks, the art style is really good. I mean, you could clearly tell that they're adopting the Mario Wonder side of things. Mario just looking more bubbly, more chibi like, very, very much harkening back to like the 90s, like, you know, key art that you would see for like Mario Brothers or like Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario World, you know, all that stuff. Those key art you would see, even like Super Mario Bros. Or like Nintendo Power Comics. And yeah, as you can see here, I don't think it's gonna show here, but yeah, it's looking good. Of course, people have already seen that it's like 24 players on the map, which is insane. Doubling that for a race is gonna be insane. I'm loving the look of this. Look at these like bubbly, like these big ass like tires. Look at the look of all this stuff. Look at the different types of like vehicles that you have here. Like, it's not just a simple, like, you know, your regular cart or bike or like, you know, all that kind of stuff. Or like there's a little, like, you know, like the actual like style of it's like stylized, like almost like, you know, like there's no like simplification of it. You see this bike here. Of course, Peach is like with her hair down and all that stuff. She's wearing her regular outfit, no biker outfit, it looks like. But the most insane thing is this guy over here, my main man, Donkey Kong. He looks like he's adopting the Mario movie style, which Miyamoto talked about before the Mario movie dropped, that it was an excuse for them to update the Donkey Kong design from the Rare design. As much as I love the Rare design, I feel like it's kind of overstayed its welcome. Donkey Kong, outside of the fact that we haven't had a new Donkey Kong game in a while, it's just breathing that new life into Donkey Kong. And I kind of like it because it harkens back like the Donkey Kong arcade era design, you know, that the early 80s side of things. I'm interested to see what the roster is for Mario Kart 9, I guess you would call it, even though technically I feel like Nintendo considers Mario Kart Tour 9, but the next Mario Kart, I'm really interested. The track is looking insane, because like, look at this, I zoom out like this, they're so small compared to, like, look how big the road is, like an actual highway. Going here, you see Yoshi's little like burger place. We have a little thing here which people speculate is might even be a wonder seed. Maybe they implement wonder effects maybe in like the tracks. Maybe that's like the big gimmick, but the new twist on Mario Kart. But yeah, I'm really liking the scope of like this one. It's like looking big with the different tracks and stuff like that. It's just a nice thing. And of course, we have here is the Joy-Con grip. Now I'm really interested in how that Joy-Con grip is, especially with making the Joy-Cons bigger. It's gonna allow for the actual like, you know, grip to feel a lot more better, more comfortable to hold, because I feel like because of the size of the Joy-Cons, putting that into the grip, it doesn't feel that comfortable to me. Like, it's like, because everything's kind of smushed together. Like you have everything pretty much like, you know, all in one place essentially, because how small it is, all cramped together. There's not a lot of space for you to, like, you know, have your thumbs in like the respective places that you would want it, and all that stuff. Of course, it's coming out in 2025. No shocker there. We'll talk about release timing in a little bit. I want to get back to talking about the specs of this machine. Now, we don't know officially on the books. Nintendo hasn't confirmed. They don't like talking about specs. That's just not a Nintendo thing for them to do. But everything we've seen from the leaks, it's been all over the place. It's been a whole debate across the board. I don't know how we keep talking about teraflops being the new bits. I swear to God, it's almost become irrelevant. And I know Mark Cerny recently even talked about the teraflopflation, the inflation of it, of like, you know, the PS5 being 10 teraflops isn't actually like that massive, real, like, you know, tangible thing. And I've always thought teraflops was a weird metric to go off of, like, it's literally just bits all over again. But anyway, from the rumors and everything that we came to understand, because of course the leaks were true, this is the Nintendo Switch 2. If we have to gauge from that, we're looking at a really powerful machine. I think it's very hard to really compare it to a PS5, a Series X, S, you know, all that stuff, because the original Switch, it was between an Xbox 360 and an Xbox One. Like that was the best estimate that we had. It was more closer to an Xbox One, but like it was handling PS4 and Xbox One games to a degree. And then we saw a lot of impossible ports in Doom 2016, Doom Eternal, Witcher 3, you know, the list goes on and on and on. With the Switch 2, like, it's clear that, especially with the leaks and stuff like that, and the rumors, and what it seems to me like, the Nintendo's gonna fix its biggest problem with the system, and that is third-party ports. Like, performance on the Switch has been, especially like from a first-party perspective, it's been kind of lackluster the last couple of years. A lot of first-party games with frame drops, but that's not even to mention the third-party games to begin with, because like there's been there has been like decent third-party ports like we've talked about, but also like there hasn't been any great third-party ports. And if there was a third-party game to come, there could have just been a cloud version, like for the Kingdom Hearts games, which could have easily ran on the system. And of course we know like over the years that like there was a lot of games that were planned to come to the original Switch, but ultimately just decided the project just ended up getting canceled because of the file size, because the storage medium, getting that cartridge size. And it seems like if the rumors are true, they're actually gonna fix it. And if that's the case, we're going to see a lot of insane third-party ports. I mean, we're already hearing a bunch of crazy stuff. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Metal Gear Solid Delta, hell, even GTA 6 is getting thrown into the conversation. Like, to see, because like going into the Switch, my dream with the Switch, like them going with a decent architecture, something new, completely different from like the PowerPC architecture that they're going from since the GameCube, that to have a Nintendo console with the amazing first-party lineup that comes from Nintendo, but also third-party games. That was the dream going in, at least my personal dream going into the original Switch, and we kind of got that, kind of did it. Like, there were some good third-party games, but it could have been a lot better. I really hope for the next Switch that, like, we get to see more third-party ports like that. Like, I honestly believe that GTA 6 is on the table, and a lot of people will scoff at me and be like, what are you talking about? What? This is way too powerful. You can't even handle the PS5 and Series X. Think about all the stuff that, like, especially where we're at with games and all this stuff, especially with the consoles and all that, is adopting the x86 architecture with the PS4 and Xbox One has allowed developers to really utilize scalability. Because you think about the PC side of things, anything from like, you know, a GTX 1050 all the way to an RTX 4090, like that's the range you're getting in terms of just graphics cards, even for a system, even before that, even like a GT 710 or whatever. So like you're getting that level of like PC of like different kinds of hardware, so you got to scale around that. And I feel like because they're utilizing scalability, that level of scalability, they can get stuff running on the systems like the Switch 2. And that's why I believe in there, like, especially if it's closer in line to an Xbox Series S, even if that's not really a good comparison, but even then it's very likely that it'll come to the system if it's on Series S. We've heard like Assassin's Creed Shadows, all these Ubisoft games would come over, and Nintendo and Rockstar have kind of made their relationship. For a while there, Rockstar did not want to make games on Nintendo, and that was more, I forget if it was Take-Two themselves or Rockstar, but during the Wii U era, I forget if it was Take-Two or Rockstar, but basically Take-Two, Rockstar, they got the Wii U dev kits late, and they were kind of sour on Nintendo after that, because they were, which is funny to think, because Rockstar started out as a Nintendo studio, you know, back in the day of the N64, all that stuff. But anyway, we're gonna see a lot more third-party support on the system, and if the rumors are to be believed, it's gonna be insane. Just imagining even the smallest things, like having stuff like Madden on the system. Like, it's insane to think that like games like Madden, NHL, like all those games just missed the system. It just skipped the system in its entirety, the original Switch, and all we really got was like FIFA and NBA, and that was it. Even WWE at one point just kind of like dropped off the face of the earth on the Switch. So to have third-party ports like that, it's gonna be insane. I cannot wait for something like Final Fantasy Rebirth on the thing. But the one thing I do hope, because we were like this going into the Switch, they're like third-party ports are going to be amazing, and we got some day-and-date ports, but not a lot. There was a lot of late ports, there were some day-and-dates, but a lot of the times, especially the big third parties inside there, it came later or it didn't come out at all. But I think we're gonna see more day-and-date Switch 2 third-party games. Like, if Metal Gear Solid Delta is coming to the system, I could see that being day and day. GTA 6 as well, if that comes to the system, day and day. Of course, like late ports that have kind of skipped the Switch. We talked about Kingdom Hearts. I think a Kingdom Hearts native port is on the table. It's gonna come. Final Fantasy VII Remake has already been rumored. That's gonna come over. Final Fantasy 16 could probably come over to the system. I'm gonna see a lot. I think at the very least we'll see a lot of Japanese support, because what the Japanese market is right now, they love their portables. They're all in on the Switch. Their PS5 hasn't really moved the needle over there. So we're gonna see a lot of, like, you know, things that miss the Switch. We're probably gonna see Elden Ring on the system. We're probably gonna see all the Resident Evil remakes that have come out recently. Resident Evil 2, 3, 4, 7, and 8. 7, oh my god, full circle moment, because Capcom was trying to get 7 on the original Switch, and they even got Nintendo to increase the RAM from like, I think it was like 2 gigs to 4. So to see that game on the Switch to Switch 2 is gonna be nice. Seeing stuff like, I mean, we talk about Square Enix, my favorite studio, but to see other, like, because a lot of, especially Japanese developers, they talked about during the Switch generation how much they missed the boat on the Switch. And they really should have. I know Neon Falcom specifically was like, yo, we messed up, bro. We should have put these games on Switch. So we're gonna see more Neon Falcom games, of course, but also like Bandai Namco. Bandai Namco's been weird. Like they have like a really strong relationship with Nintendo. They have, like, you know, they have a whole studio dedicated to making Nintendo games in the Smash Bros. Studio. But seeing stuff like Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, Scarlet Nexus, Tales of Arise, you know, those big games, Japanese games that kind of just skipped the Switch for whatever reason, will come over for sure. I can see Koei Tecmo probably drop like Neo 1 and 2, because they love to just port Neo 1 and 2. Maybe, I don't know. Atlas, of course, it's already been rumored. Metaphor ReFantazio, Persona 3 Reload, and of course, you know, another Sega studio, RGG Studios. So we're gonna probably see all the Yakuza games just drop out of nowhere. Yakuza 0, Yakuza Kiwami 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth probably as well. A lot of games that have the possibilities to come to the system. Yeah. Let's go into the 2025 date. Of course, no surprise, it's coming out this year. The timing, because like we know we have a Nintendo Direct dedicated to this system in April, which I don't know, this is a pattern that's interesting. When the Switch first got announced last year, we heard from, after the financials, for Recall was like, hey, we have a Nintendo Direct for June. That was the biggest heads up we've ever gotten in Nintendo Direct in recent memory, and this is the second time they've done this. I feel like this might be a pattern they might do now, where they're gonna give us a heads up on Nintendo Directs a lot earlier than we expect, and I kind of like that because I'm kind of sick of the quote-unquote hype cycle that we have for Nintendo Directs, because it gets rumored. Everybody's like, today's the day, it's gonna get announced, doesn't get announced, okay, next week, oh, well, waiting for the next week and all that stuff. So to have kind of more dedicated times for them to be like, hey, in a couple weeks in advance, to be like, hey, Nintendo Direct's dropping, we'll give more details later on, would be nice. It's kind of interesting they're doing a Nintendo Switch 2 presentation as a Direct as well. They normally don't talk about hardware at Directs. The last time I remember them talking about hardware at a Direct was probably like the Wii U 3DS era. I think like the 3DS XL got announced at a Nintendo Direct, things like that. So it's been a long time since we have hardware outside of like a Smash bundle, I think, was at a Direct, but like actual legitimate new hardware information. So to have this in a style in Nintendo Direct is very interesting. But yeah, we have that in April, which feels so far away, but at the same time, it's kind of following that Switch 1 playbook. We had the Switch 1 reveal trailer in October 2016. Then in January of 2017, we had the Switch presentation. It was about like a 3-month window, a 3-month gap. Same thing here, a 3-month gap. And if they're following the Switch 1 playbook, Switch 1, had the January presentation and then released in March. So maybe a June release for this? Summer's been on the table, of course, for it. Summer's going to be very interesting. New to doing a summer release. I think the Super Nintendo and the N64 was like the last time we had a summer release for those systems, for a system like that. Yeah, backwards compatibility. It's nice that it's finally confirmed. I remember when Furukawa put out that tweet, like, hey, backwards compatibility is confirmed for Switch 2, and some people were like, but digital, physical, what's going on here? Like, I don't know why that was like thrown around. Of course, it was gonna be physical and digital. Nintendo's probably going to be like the last company to do physical games. So obviously it's going to play both physical and digital games. Of course, everyone's talking about this metric here. Certain Nintendo Switch games may not be supported or fully compatible with Nintendo Switch 2. A lot of people have been very scared about this. Like, what does it mean? Does it mean I can't play, like, Super Mario Galaxy 1 or whatever? I'm like, no. I think this means specifically stuff like Nintendo Labo and Ring Fit Adventure won't be... like Labo in particular will not be supported on the thing, because Labo utilizes the Switch 1 dimensions. Labo doesn't even fit the Switch OLED or the Switch Lite, so but Ring Fit kind of would fall into not fully compatible, because I think Switch 1 Joy-Cons will be compatible with Switch 2. Just connect them as Bluetooth controllers and you'll use that to play Ring Fit Adventure, Switch Sports, all that stuff. And more than anything else, I feel like this is just a whole legal jargon just to keep that up there. I am interested though in enhancements. What are they going to do in terms of enhancements for the system? This is a new territory. Everyone's talking about, oh, they're going to do patches just like PS4 to PS5 or Xbox Series X. I don't know. I'm still like, at the same time, I don't think Nintendo would do that. Like, it doesn't seem like a Nintendo thing to do, but at the end of the day, Nintendo is the king of left field, so they could be, I could be wrong, and they end up doing like exactly how Sony and Microsoft do it, and like, you know what, we'll give you some free patches for Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Mario Odyssey, make them all run at 4K 60 maybe, for like Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, or maybe even sell an enhanced edition for Breath of the Wild. I know that's been thrown around. We will see. I don't know if that's the case, but I think more than anything else, what we know for sure, and I think this is what's gonna happen, is just Switch 1 games are just gonna run better on the system. Stuff that has like dynamic resolution and unlocked frame rate are gonna just run better. They're gonna be smoothed out on the new system with the new chipset at the very least. I don't know about enhancements. We'll see, especially in the April showcase if they talk about that. But as far as I'm concerned, I think it'll just be like, for example, like, a game that has like, frame dips, like, Link's Awakening and Echoes of Wisdom that have like really jittery frame rate will get smoothed out on Switch 2. Things like Mario and Luigi Brothership, same thing with jittery frame rate, will also get smoothed out. Things that have a dynamic resolution, Xenoblade Chronicles comes to mind. All the Xenoblade games have like weird, very low resolution. That's gonna get smoothed out on Switch 2, stuff like that. But we shall see. Of course, the other thing they've shown is that they're gonna have, similar to Switch 1, they're gonna have hands-on events throughout the world. Fortunately, they're nowhere near me, of course. God. But yeah, that's gonna be fun. I think more than anything else, it's very likely that it's going to be a June/July release. I think a summer release makes sense. Everyone's throwing out maybe it could be September or the holiday season, and I'm like, this is way too late, I feel, for the Switch 2. I mean, this has been the longest home console generation for Nintendo, and I feel like Nintendo's at a point now where they're like, yeah, we kind of tapped out on the Switch. It's time to move on to a new system and everything. But yeah, I think that's everything I have for the Switch 2. I'm so happy we're out of the leak era, that it's all official information. And I know Jason Schreier already posted that like one of the nice things that Nintendo put out right now, this trailer, is that third party companies can actually come out and be like, hey, this game's coming out for Switch 2 as well, or this game's coming out for Switch 2, and start announcing that, which is going to be nice to see if that happens up until like, the April showcase. But April showcase, we're going to see more games from a first party perspective. Launch, quickly, let's talk about that before we end it off here. I think it's safe to say, with how Nintendo does their trailers, the first game they usually showed, especially in the Switch era, Switch 1, the first game they ever showed was Breath of the Wild running on the thing. Switch Lite was Link's Awakening, and Switch OLED was Metroid Dread. So I think for this, if that is pattern is to lead to believe that it's going to launch with Mario Kart. Now that is the question of, what about 3D Mario? And I think it's might follow the Switch 1 playbook of like, Mario Kart will come out on the launch day, but the holiday game is going to be 3D Mario. And that's the other nice thing of doing something like a summer launch, is especially with the Switch 1, you had that March release, but then you had the holiday season, so you kind of get that double launch, sort of like the hardcore get it in March, or in this case in June, and then in the holiday season, the casuals can get the new system. This is where it gets, who knows, is that the Mario Kart is that casual game. So I don't know if they're going to launch like a Mario Kart and 3D Mario at the same time. We'll see. We'll find out in the April showcase, of course. We'll get like pricing details, SKUs, all that stuff, probably pre-order at that point. Price is another thing that's probably going to be talked about as well. I think more than anything else, it's gonna be $399 USD. I think that's the good price to hit for the system. I don't think they could get away with a $500 USD system. I don't think they could get away with that. It's a Nintendo console, and things are more expensive now, so who knows. But that $349 to $399 USD price point is where to hit. $349 would be nice. $399 is like the absolute ceiling. I think you can hit with that, and I think they're gonna hit that, but we shall see. But yeah, I think that's everything from me. Comment down below what you guys think of this reveal. You're excited as I am for the Switch 2. With that being said, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. Like this video, of course, if you liked it. Subscribe and ring that bell for notifications for more videos like this and more videos in general. We have reached this is a Switch 2 hype cycle. I'm gonna have more videos covering the Switch 2. Don't you worry, up until launch. But yeah, with that being said, this has been Moe, signing out.